Hello fellow bikers, this is Jim Hendricks. Following is a video of a Green Lane ride I did at the very end of 2018, in fact on December 28th. These lanes are located out of Welham Green. They're published by the TRF on ViewRanger as a beginning loop for people getting into off-road riding. I've done them 2 or 3 dozen times before. I've been trying to do this loop of lanes weekly to get into practice and develop my skills, and I hadn't done them for a few weeks, so I definitely wanted to get in for one more loop on the lanes before the end of the year. What's tough about doing this in the winter is that you're less likely to go out every single week because pouring rain or snow or frozen ice and so forth isn't a whole lot of fun. So as a result, I've been doing it more like every 2 or 3 weeks. In all the times I've done the lanes, this is the first time I've seen a four-wheel drive vehicle actually doing one of them. I didn't want to put too much tape in, but he was really slipping around and diving in and out of the deep puddles. Overall, this may have been one of the most difficult visits I've made to this set of lanes because of the amount of water you're seeing in the mud. And the puddles were pretty ferocious, and they were still fairly easy to cross because I know there's firm ground underneath, but still it was a challenge. And a good one, actually, because I need the practice. Compared to others, I'm a pretty slow rider off-road, in part because I'm by myself, and I don't mind dropping the bike and picking it up again, but my preference would be not to slide into a tree at 40 miles an hour if I can avoid it. Being December 28th, I was lucky it was warm as it was. It was about 8 degrees Celsius out, and really halfway comfortable. It hadn't rained for a couple of days, so wasn't like it was coming down on me, but there's still a lot of remaining mud and puddles, as you can see from previous showers. The other positive at being at the very end of the year is that there wasn't a single rambler or walker out on the paths today. Just the four-wheel drive and then a horse rider, which you'll see a little bit later. I really like this particular set of lanes because they're not overly challenging. There's not huge rocky climbs or huge scary descents or giant ruts to fall into and get stuck in. I wish there was a stream crossing, but these puddles are now to the point where they're almost the width of streams. There's also some pleasant roads to connect the green lanes together that are usually not very heavily trafficked and so forth and enjoyable to ride. Now this part here is surprising because it was actually the most slipperiest lane that I went on, and from the video and actually looking at it in real life, it doesn't look that bad, but when you get on it, for some reason, the mud is exceptionally slippy, and one reason why you see my handlebars sawing back and forth is because the rear wheel is fishtailing so much. At the end of these lanes, there's a gate that has to be opened before I can get onto a big A road. So it's always a nice excuse to get off the bike and push it through and close the gate up. Big rule of off-road riding is that if you come to a gate and you have to open it, make certain you close it when you go to leave, because it's there for a reason, keeping animals in or something, and no one wants it left open. This area was also pretty challenging because it was very muddy. There was a tree stump in the way, and it took a moment just to negotiate around this. I passed by several horse farms, and of course when I see a horse approaching, I always stop and turn off the engine. I've also learned that it's good not to move too much as the horse approaches, because I think the movements as well as the sound are not very great. And obviously, as you can see from the videos, the riders are really appreciative of motorcyclists who are courteous and don't spook their horses. Here I am back onto another lane, and you see my headlight come into view because it's getting dark. This is about 4:30 in the afternoon now. The days are getting longer, but not fast enough, so this is another off-the-road ride that I finish up in the dark, which is okay. It's just a little bit harder to see what's happening ahead, and again, another reason to slow down a little bit so nothing terrible happens. It's hard to describe how rewarding this type of riding is. I mean, I'm also a road rider, and I do over 12,000 miles a year. But doing these shorter rides out on the mud and through the water and developing skills is really a great experience, and I feel very lucky to have started this year. And if you are a road rider, you've never tried going off-road, I'd recommend trying it. These last clips are just me heading home to my place in Harrow, and overall the trip was just about 2.5 hours in total.